I mustn't lose my belief. You know, must not lose it. I was born in 1929 in Romania. They came on the Shabbos. My mother cried her eyes out. I was with Satmarufa, Sharashid is my father. There was 300 Bukharim there. Then we arrived in Auschwitz Birkenau. I went to find my mother and my family. Then you see the chimney? After 3 hours they've arrived, they were gone. Never said goodbye. Never said goodbye.
11 years later, he married a German.
She wasn't Jewish.
A word is a word, and I promise God I'm going to go, and just because I'm not religious doesn't mean to say I'm leaving my God. No way.
Oy, ni lukay la shumayim, ki liyoylom cha, it's my tatten still. You know, 80 years ago. So it just shows you don't forget. You know, you don't always get to your Eid.
I used to dream all the time that I'm lost. Why am I lost? When I got married out, I was forgotten for 60 years. I never spoke about Holocaust. My father wanted me to grow up like him. And I said, when I grow up, you know, and I'll be on my own, I'll do what I want. It's not what he wants. He was very strict. Very sad, because me and my mom were very close. And I'm the only one left. My name is Leslie Kleinman. Is my voice all right? My name is Leslie Kleinman, but at home it was El Azhar, actually. I prefer it better, much nicer. And God helped. That's what it was. So it was a very nice name, and I'll tell you a little bit from home.
I remember walking into JFS with Leslie Kleinman a few years ago. He'd never been into a Jewish school since he was 8, 9, 10, since he was in Satmar, since he was in Cheder. And he walked into an auditorium with 300 17-year-old Jews, and he was so moved. And he shared his story with them. And I know it's a story that will remain with them forever. To have had the privilege to have facilitated the journey of such a hero. It's been an incredible privilege to be able to take a man like Leslie to meet with thousands of Jewish people, to visit Jewish schools, to visit Jews in university, to bring hundreds and hundreds of people on trips to Poland, interviews on television, and many times to Poland as well. And this man rebuilt from nothing. A life full of contradictions, with a message of Am Yisrael Chai, we're still here. We're still here as individuals, we're still here as families, we're still here as a people. L'chaim, incredible.
People are asking me, if I speak about my father, how comes you're telling me that it's strict, you didn't like him, I see tears in your eyes. But my father was very strict, actually, and I didn't get on very well with him, but now, as he's not here, I love him. He's still my father, you know, so I still love him. Anyway, and from all my heart, I can tell you, keep the Jews together, the bond. Don't leave it too late. You never forget your family. I never forgot my family. Every day I think of my mother, even though it's 74 years now. And there's one day I don't think of my mom. I remember once a man came in, he said, "How do you live so poor?" To my mom. My mom said, "Poor? I'm the richest person going. I've got 8 children, no healthy." That's what she was worried about. We had nothing. I only had 1 shirt for Shabbos. I tell you what, but we were very happy at home because to us the Shabbos was more important than the shirt.
Last year I went to Auschwitz 7 times. I dedicated myself for 20 years speaking in schools. The reason I go back to Auschwitz, I want to show to the world, the kids, the new one coming up, how important it is to care for each other, not hate each other.
Pupils from King David's School and Manchester Grammar travelled to Poland with the Holocaust education charity JRoots and met Leslie Kleinman, a survivor of Auschwitz.
Listening to a story of a man that's been through this, that can tell them things, that can show the number on his arm, that can tell them about his family, is far more impacting than a daughter of a Holocaust survivor or a son of a Holocaust survivor, which is why I'm glad that he's doing as much as he can now while he's still able to do that.
In 1944, they came from my father. There's the 2 policemen came. They got another 3,000 people because there was about 10 villages, small villages surrounded Satmar. My mother cried her eyes out, so I'm leaving, because they cut his beard or they came on the Shabbos. He couldn't have any worse day. We had Shabbos candles in the window. My brothers and sisters, they were singing Shalom Aleichem. You know, so nice it was. I remember standing there, never forget it. Never forget it. They gave us a bracha. Yivorechu Hashem v'yishmerechu. Yor Hashem punav alechu v'chinechu. Yisu Adonai punav alechu v'yisum lechu shulam. It's the last time I saw him. 2 weeks later, they came for us. They put us in a ghetto in Satmar. We were there about between 3 weeks and 4 weeks. I never heard of a ghetto. I didn't know what it was. And we didn't know where to stay, so we stayed in the shul on the floor. We just lay down on the floor in the shul. We had no food. I cut my pious off, and I'm gonna go and buy food, which I crawled underneath the fence. You got caught, they shot you. So I managed to, somehow Hashem was always with me. You know, I'd done so many things, and he was always with me somehow. They told us, we're going now to Germany, another life. We're going to work in Germany, everybody's going to be happy, and nobody moved. I said, okay. I tell you what, there's a vineyard, it's a good chance to go. Everybody jumped up, they want to go to this vineyard, it's going to be good. It's not a lie, no such thing as a vineyard. We marched about 3 kilometers to the trains, which was right at the end of the town. They were so high, but this high, to get up. So 2 people had stand and pull us up. Where there's supposed to be 50 people, there was actually 110. My mother was trying to comfort the children as much as she can. The kids were screaming, my brother was only 2 months to go home. She thought that one Shalom was going to help. And then the train started moving off, and I remember one guy shouting out, he says, you know what, this Germany is all lies. We're not going to Germany, we're going east. And we ended up actually in Vienna. And they opened up the doors. This time the Hungarian police left, the Austrian police took over, and they came up, opened the doors, and they said, anybody's got jewelry, you can have bread and water. And my mom says, we're not rich, we got nothing. We only got a wedding ring, you can have it. My children are more important. did hear one thing, is he says in Poland, they take children, little children, tear them apart. That's all I heard. But I thought maybe I'm hearing wrong. I never took any notice until I saw it myself when I came to Auschwitz. I see all the children coming in, you know, it's a truck full of kids. The guards came out and they said, you can't have this baby. So he picked up the baby, threw it in the air, shot it, and then she started screaming and shot her as well. And I was crying to God. I was saying, you know, look what's Aftuni. You know, I was asking him. He said, the children are dying, you know. I asked him, cried my eyes out. And in the corner, nothing happened. You know. But while I was davening, it was paying me because I forgot my Taurus, I forgot my Hakes, I forgot my... And as I'm walking around with my family, this Polish Jewish man pulls me out from the line. I don't know why me. Pulls me out from the line and he says, how old are you? I said 14. He says, you're 17 now, because I was tall. Yeah, I saw Dr. Mengele. He was taking already the kids, the twins, and they were terrible screaming out. But so I saw him, he asked me how I was at 17, I looked strong, I was 5'10". If you know what I mean, we come from the village, we look fat, you know, didn't look skinny. So he sent me to work. And he said, you have to go and get yourself a number first. So I queued up for hours to get it. I didn't know even then what happened to my family. I had my number done, Auschwitz 8230. Didn't tell anyone in the last 50 years what my tattoo was. In Hebrew, the alphabet has numbers as well. So an aleph was a 1, a B was a 2. When the Nazis gave me that number, they didn't realize that they gave me a blessing. It's 8230, so it's 10 is 13. So that's Gematria is Ahava. Aleph high, base high is 13, and I'm carrying love on my arm. There's still lots of hate in the world. I never learned actually. And I traveled with JRoots more or less the circumference of the world, telling him about love only. Love is the most powerful weapon in the world because it could stop any war without firing one bullet. It can annihilate my enemies without dropping a bomb. I can turn my enemies into friends. Love is the most powerful weapon in the world. Believe me, because you got hope. After that, they told me I could have a shower now. And I said, put your clothes nice and tidy. And when you come out, you find it nice and tidy there. It's much easier for you to collect it and go. When I came out, you know, my clothes was gone, my twin was gone, and my cedar, which was a beautiful, it was in leather, it was written Leslie Kleinman, and each one of them in gold letters. And I remember crying for a week. But I thought I won't. Why would they take it? You know, it's no good. And then they burned it. And the back of the top, it was KL. It means in German, Konzentrationslager, concentration camp, KL. And I said to myself, well, Betty, they know my initials. I said, so on. Because my initials is KL. And I saw myself, you think, my initials, how do they know my initials? And I didn't know what's happening, so I went to find my mother and my family. So I'm looking around and there was some Polish Jews there, they were there before me, and then they said, I know you're young, but he said, don't you see the chimney? What about the chimney? Still didn't catch on. He says they went in there. After 3 hours they've arrived, they were gone. He said. So now I realized that we're not here for long.
I have no grave to go to. I can't say Kaddish anywhere. So I come back and say Kaddish. You know, because I left them all here. My brother was only 2, you know. That's because he was Jewish. That's why I come here.
Sheishes milyoinei acheinu b'nei Yisrael. Gito Bas Mordechai. Chaim Tzvi ben Mordechai. Frimid Bas Mordechai. Shaindel Bas Mordechai. Chayesoro Bas Mordechai. Avram ben Mordechai.
It's incredible when you walk through a place like Auschwitz with somebody who lost 64, 65 out of 67 members of his family who arrived on the train to Auschwitz. And this man is talking about love and talking about tolerance and talking about not judging other people and talking about belief in a bright future. The Nazis thought they were branding me like an animal, but my number adds up to the gematria, to the numerical value of ahava, of love. And you mustn't hate people. We can only love people. What a message, what a legacy. That cannot fail to touch people. Leslie is an incredibly charismatic, intriguing, endearing person. His smile has conquered the hearts of thousands and thousands of people.
And I was crying to God. And I said, I was taught all the time, look after us, you're the father of us. Ovinu Markeinu, it means you are the father of us. How can you see all these children going in the gas chambers and all that? And I said to him, I got no friends left. So I asked God, can you be my friend? And you know what? I felt after asking God, I felt that He held my hand all the time, wherever I went. Every night I used to pray or sing to myself. And they came Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, nobody done nothing. So I stood there, and by that time I remembered everything from home. But I was 44, and from my father, and I started saying whatever I remembered, you know. Not all the things I could remember. My father knew all the Tillim, I didn't know all the Tillim by heart. And so I started, you know, praying, and, you know, before I looked around, there was 100 people around me, at least, and they were all crying because that boy, I was only 14, that's why I don't remember everything, see. But I noticed then, you know, when it comes to Eden, we're all the same. We all got a heart, we all cry. You know, feel this boy, Dams, with his heart, asking God, you know. I remember the date, it was 18th of January, 1945. They told us we're going to move on now. They destroyed the gas chambers. We're going to move on now, and we're going on a death march. I remember that I was very weak, and I was nearly going to collapse. But there was 2 boys, Holocaust boys. We were good friends. We were brought up together in Cheder, and they come from the same village as I do. And they saw me, you know, going a bit on the side. So they come, both of them, both sides, and held me like this, and we walked like that, the 3 of us together. And they didn't want the guards to shoot me. So the time we got stopped, the next stop, I had the rest, and the next day I was okay, back again, you see. But that's why I think these boys saved my life somehow. I walked 300 miles to get to Sachsenhausen. I didn't know at the time it was Sachsenhausen. Can you imagine 300 miles with clocks, with wooden clocks, you know? Every minute I could hear shooting. And we slept actually in the forest on the floor. We had 1 blanket,
I was so weak, you know, by this time I'm not eating everything else. So when they opened the doors, not eating anything, I just fell into a puddle and it was raining, you know. And I decided, I was brought up so religious, I decided that ask God, you know, if he could help me. I'm not religious, and he could help me on my father's behalf, you know, maybe to live. And I said, you know what, if I get out of here, I'm going to go to Yeshiva for 1 year to pay my debts to you. I said, I'm not really religious, but I wouldn't go to Yeshiva because if you do this, I'm going to do my side. And eventually, you know, as I'm finishing crying and praying to God, the guards come up, it's like a miracle, and I bought us coffee. And when he bought coffee, he came up and went back again 10 minutes later, and he bought me some bread. But he threw the bread on the floor, and I couldn't pick it up. I was too weak to pick the bread up. So he came back again, this same guard, and he said, give that kid a chance to live as well. And he picked away from a stronger guy, and he gave me a piece of bread. And funny enough, I lost faith in God at Bapti then already. I couldn't believe it.
An hour later, I saw all of a sudden all the guards disappeared, changed their clothes, didn't have any guards. And I was so frightened that what was going on here. I didn't know about war, I didn't know about military things. So I saw a foxhole, I was jumped in there, and I was shaking, I was frightened. And all of a sudden this guy comes up with a Tommy gun. And he says to me, Mr. Eid? I thought he was German, because I said, I don't know. I said, yeah, I suppose so, I am a Yid, yeah. He says, well, he says, I'm also a Jew. He says, I'm from America. So he picked me up, we both cried together. Couldn't believe I'd been liberated. I prayed to get liberated, I couldn't believe it, you know. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm alive now. He saw me in the state I was in, he couldn't believe it. I know my shoes were full of blood, you know, because walking, all this marching. So he took me to a tank, you know, his front tank. He had a few Nazis in there. He said, what size are you? They were my size. Took off the boots and gave me the boots, and I gave him my clogs. When I was liberated, you know, I had actually a gun from the Americans. Americans are telling me that if you see a Nazi, who they recognize, obviously, and you can shoot him, there'd be no problem. But we only give you 4 days. The Russians, I think, gave 6 days. And but I couldn't shoot anybody. There's no way could I shoot people. You know, we're not brought up that way. You know, we're all human beings in the end. Even a Nazi, we couldn't do that. And a week later, there was a service by the American Army, the chaplain, you know, done the service, a Jewish service. And there was the first service in Germany for 6 years, a Jewish service. And I went there, and we all had these striped pajamas on still. It was only, we didn't have the clothes to change yet. And you know, it never went out of my mind talking about Jewish. I'm looking at them, every one of them was crying. And when he started saying I think it was Mincha Davening, we all cried. Even some of them didn't understand it, but it didn't matter. We were all Jews at the end. And but I decided I'm going to find my sister first. I couldn't settle without my sister. I saw my father's cousin from Sapmer. I know they were together. And I said to her, where is my sister? She said, I can't, sorry to tell you. 2 days after liberation, she died. I said, she was healthy, she was only 17. She had typhoid. We had no medication for her. In my mind, you know what? I'm thinking, I've seen all the big, you know, big mountains of dead bodies there. You know, I'm thinking of they holding their legs, you know, like this, half naked, and throwing me like a bit of garbage. And so that's how my sister is going to be thrown. That's what I was looking at, you know. I see it all in my thing. you know, that was God's will, and I'm going to go back. I'm not going to go to Romania. So I said, well, Hashem helped me one way, He didn't help me with my sister. I said, that's the only thing I've got left, is having a sister. You know, nobody else, you know. But I mustn't lose my belief. You know, must not lose it. So I came back, and I ended up, came back, stayed in there till October, I think it was. And somebody came in from England and said, anybody who wants to go to England can go. And so I was supposed to be 16, so I volunteered. And when I got to we took a plane to Southampton. The Jewish people welcomed me with open arms.
As children, we have never ever been told anything about what he went through in the Holocaust.
And when people saw me a tattoo, first of all, some of them knew I was Jewish with a tattoo, so they know really. But I just jokingly told them, you know, it's a suitcase number or some number, you know. I didn't tell them what it was.
We knew my dad was an Auschwitz survivor, but he never ever told us anything. He never talked about it.
You see, the whole idea was I should forget for a while and having my life back again.
11 years later, he married a German.
He went through the atrocities of Auschwitz, seeing all his family die, seeing his friends die. And the people that were killing them were Germans. They were SS soldiers from Germany. When you think about that, and then you think about my mother being German, you know, you think, well, how could anyone marry a German? She wasn't Jewish.
All I can tell you is in 50 years I was very happy married.
She grew up in Berlin during the war. She came over to England on her own. A lot of Dad's Jewish friends didn't accept Mum because she was German. So he took her home one night and he actually was going to finish with her.
I said to her, you know what, I don't like hurting people. So I think it should be a good idea that we stop it now before it goes any further. Because I come from a very Orthodox family, you know, a real religious family. And I don't think my father would love it, even though he's so she agreed. So on the way back, we have a head-on collision. She goes right through the window, cut her face to pieces.
Mum was severely injured. She was damaged a lot more than Dad. She had bandages completely everywhere, and all you could see was her eyes.
I don't know what to do. I said, why is that? I said, because first of all, she's German. She's from Berlin. She's not Jewish. So when I went to see her, she didn't expect me.
He went to see Mum in hospital, and someone, you know, had obviously found out from the records that Mum was German, and they were spitting at him as he arrived because they assumed that he was German as well.
This English person spit in my face, and she called me a dirty German because she had a German. She thought I was German.
Germans in England weren't the most popular in 1940s.
So I just wiped my face and walked on.
He has no hatred for anyone. He's never been sort of angry about what happened to him.
I think Mum realised that her time was coming very quickly, and she was worried for Dad.
While she was dying, she was saying to me to go back to my roots, she told me. That's exactly where you belong, she said.
I think she felt he will find comfort with Jewish people where he started life, you know, where he had his roots. And she was right, which is why he came to Westcliff.
That's when I first met him, and he looked like he knew nobody in the town, and he told me that he's just moved here from Canada, and he came to the community because he thought that as a Jew he'd like to be close by, nearby a shul. I didn't know at the beginning that he was a survivor. He just came to see other Jews, to see other Yidden, as he says. He obviously lost his connection, his revealed connection to Judaism in many, many ways, but inside him, his neshama was still burning. So I invited him for Friday night, and I remember him being so moved the first time that I invited him, because he said he remembered that his father used to invite people, and it actually was the first time that he felt that he was going into a Yiddish home.
We had 2 Polish Jews my father picked up for Shabbos, because the Polish people, some of them managed to escape from the ghettos, and they came to us. And my father always picked up 2 of them. And I tell you the truth, I didn't like it, because I only got the foot of a chicken. You know, that's all I got. And now he's going to bring 2 more people, and there's 12 people and 1 chicken. And it's going to last for Shabbos as well. They came back for Shabbos. But you know what? Now today, I think different altogether. I'm glad my father done it. I got paid already. Because when I arrived back in England, the Rabbi Bar, first thing as soon as I arrived, he asked me over for Friday night. And I was in tears, because I couldn't believe that Hashem pays me back already what my father done for somebody else. I think how lucky I am, you know. So many years later, I'm sitting in a shul.
Leslie turned up 2011 into our lives. We were doing a JRoots trip to Poland with our community.
We had no idea, we just knew him as the survivor.
I think initially when Leslie accompanied the JRoots trips, he was coming as an eyewitness, as a survivor. But slowly as he went on the journey of discovery in a way of himself, of his Jewish soul.
We were standing in the Woburn forest and tears were flowing. And he came over to me and gave me a hug.
There was children burning there. And as I was telling the story, he was crying bitterly. And I went up to him as a Jew, gave him a hug, and cried together. Well, it's like it was my brother, sort of. It's my thing which I've lost. That's what Jewish people are to me.
We just felt this instant warmth. And he came into our family, he's come into our world, he's enriched our world beyond belief.
And they treat me, actually, to one of the families. You know, none of the Zaydas of Buba stay there. They asked me to come. And he tells me he's got 4 daughters and 3 boys. And I'm looking at him, couldn't believe it. I've lost 4 sisters and 3 brothers.
And for our kids to have him here regularly for most of the Chagim and for Shabbos. And he's a rock star. They absolutely love him and adore him.
One of the most remarkable aspects of Leslie's story is I asked him if he remembered any songs from his parents' Shabbos table. I said, do you remember any Zmiras? And he said, Naftali, what are you talking about? It's 75 years. Of course I don't remember anything. So I said, come on. I said, Leslie, loser. You must remember something from the Shabbos table. So he said to me, you know, my father used to go something like, na, 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 na. And then we all used to go, ah. And then my father used to go, na, na, na. And we used to go, ah. And suddenly a penny dropped and my heart missed a beat. He lost his mother and his father and his siblings and his world was shattered. And he left it for 60 years. Suddenly he remembered, words that King David wrote thousands of years ago that refer to when God, when we were brought so low, you remembered us. I said, do you realize that the first words that you remember 75 years later of a song around the Shabbos table were that God's love is infinite and he gets us out of the most awful trials and tribulations, and you remembered that? And in a way from then onwards he started remembering more.
I wanted to be, with Yiddish people, which I missed so many years. Funny enough, I have found my roots because I found JRoots. Shabbos ist da, ja, es brennt wie ein Feuer. Es ist mamisch, die Oilom habe. Nur der kann es spielen, was sich Jiddisch führen. The Shabbos is da, the Shabbos is very dear to be. Proud being Jewish, being a Shabbos. I remember walking with my father, as it was yesterday. Es brennt wie ein Feuer, it rhymes. It burns like a fire. I used to walk to shul with my father Saturday, after the drosha, my father said, always said a wonderful drosha. And sees mamash, you know what mamash is? Oilom haba, it's really like on the other world. So my father said, Läuf, run. And we used to run everything. No der kann er spielen. He's the only one who could feel the Shabbos. When we sat down with the rabbi, the Satmar roof, he was sitting on top. For Shalashidus was worse coming. Was titzach Yiddish wie nobody else can feel like a Jew who keeps up the Jewish way of life. Because when he sat there, it was like real Oilom Haba, you know. It was so spiritual. I used to dream all the time that I'm lost. Most of the times it was the same thing. I was coming to visit a town, right? And I couldn't find my way out. And I'm looking, I'm finding, I'm going round and round and round and round, and I couldn't find it. And it's the same thing every night I had it. Why am I lost? And I realized you're lost from Yiddishkeit. That's what you're lost. Go back to the Jewish ways of life. I'm a different person altogether, which I was. But with all that, I'm going to be alone here. I've always been alone anyway, for 70 years. So it's not going to make a difference. So I chose Hashem to be a friend of mine. I chose him. And I prayed, I cried my eyes out, and I said, Hashem, I haven't got any friends. Can you be my friend? I've asked Hashem. And he said, you know, somehow he was holding my arm, my hand all the time. Of course, it all fell into his lap, didn't it? Typical dad. Total survivor.
First of all, I'm very proud of what he does. And the fact that he can actually talk about it with such sort of passion, and how he wants to educate the young that it shouldn't happen again. I feel very, very proud sitting there listening to him.
About 2 months ago, as I'm dreaming this time, and I'm seeing my mother standing in the gas chamber with my brothers and sisters, exactly the same way as they left, which never happened to me before. I saw my mother in my dream. It was so real that I was there. She was inside the gas chamber, and she was holding the children like this, and she was there saying, Shema Yisrael. And the last thing I heard from her, saying the Shema Yisrael, and she was holding together with her kids. I woke up crying, you know. So with all the things, she was still proud to be Jewish. I'm proud to be Jewish, and that's exactly what she was telling me. Be proud, you know, never mind, you know, exactly. And the first time I saw my mother, I'd never seen her before.
I take away from this special relationship with an incredible giant of human being anything. You can't judge, and you need to keep going, never give up, love people, and the love of a mother conquers all. And parents don't get it right, but if you mean it and if you're authentic, somehow it lasts, and that spark is there. And it might be 60 years later, it might be 70 years later, but the spark, your Pintele Yid is still there.
What's the most important thing you learned from your father?
The most important things I've learned him, how to live and how to be Yiddish, of course. You know, Yiddish in life, you know, that's what I learned from him. And he just lost it for a while, but I got back again, you know. But I never, with all that, I never forgot where I came from, never.
He's not going anywhere, he says, because he has a mission. And his mission is to teach the world not to hate, to teach the world to be good people, to be loving and kind.
I have a mission from Hashem. My mission is, you know, to make sure that we are stick together. What I've lost in 68, I lost in Auschwitz. Mishpocha, I found here with you. And my mission is to speak to you. And don't be ashamed of being Jewish.
From all my heart, I can tell you, I have so much love for you kids. It's unbelievable. And I see you, and how much honor I've got that I'm able to speak to you, to have to keep that Yiddishkeit, to keep the Jews together, the bond. I'm very proud now. I'm very proud that I can be Jewish and I can help some with other people what I've been through. I can help them to come back, you know, to say what marvelous Jewish people are, you know. It's amazing. The people are asking me, they said, well, you seem to love everybody, but we don't like them Frumers to come up. They made fun, you know, Jewish people. I said to them, you know what? They're still Jews. All right, they got their belief. But they're Jewish people. And you know what? Without them, they wouldn't be Jewish people because they are very strong and they're very believing in their things. Every Jew to me is precious. I came out from the darkness and I feel I came into the light. I always thought I lost my family, I got nothing. But you know, I look at you and I think to myself, you know what? That is my family. The Jewish people are my family. We are together as one. You know what? Hitler is dead already 72 years. But Leslie Kleinman as a Jew is still here. Vayifrekeini mitzurayni